What's going on, everybody? It's Adam here with another video. I'm going to be making a bunch of videos, me kind of giving my experience and my advice about being off-grid. This is the first of them. This is about minimalism. Is off-grid life really minimalism? So we're going to get into it in a second, but I just want to give you some background on me. I'll post a video up here that my friend Matt did on my first off-grid cabin. I lived there for about 5 years, and since then I've sold it, and I've kind of been waiting out the real estate market like a lot of people until I can find maybe another piece of land to build a house on. That's my first idea, so that's kind of what I'm gearing up for next. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot being off-grid. I started from scratch, absolute scratch, and I have a lot of insights to offer. I'm no expert. I'm still learning things as I go, of course. This is a very hands-on, practical type of lifestyle. A lot of problem solving is involved. So if you're a tradesperson, you're way better off than I am, because I'm a musician, so you know. But anyways, is off-grid really minimalism? This is the question I want to get to in this video. So a lot of people have different opinions on what off-grid actually means. So let's just agree on that first. I'll just tell you what I think it is, and then we'll go into it. So off-grid basically just means you don't use municipally provided services like natural gas or the city water or the state or provincial power grid. So you have solar, a drilled well or a dug well or rainwater, and you bring your own propane in for your gas. Like, that is technically off-grid. You're doing your own thing. You supply your own stuff to live. So now that we have that out of the way, is this really minimalism? Well, let me paint a picture of what minimalism in the modern world to me looks like. A more conventional method of it is a condo or an apartment. You're in a vertical space, so you're not taking up much land, and you know, you can't really fit a lot, even in the biggest condos, you can't fit much in there. So you have less possessions right off the bat. If you're living in the inner city, you probably don't need a vehicle. You can get away with renting one once in a while and have a bike the rest of the time in public transit. You don't need many tools. If you're living inner city lifestyle, you might need a screwdriver or a drill, and that's about it. So, you know, there's just way less possessions you need if you're living in a condo or an apartment, straight up. A more unconventional form of minimalism is living in a van. Van life is popular. I've done it. I'll post a van video up here of my van life last year. And, you know, in the van, you can only bring in there what you can fit into a van. And it's just the essentials. So that is hardcore minimalism. An off-grid life. Okay, so to paint a picture, we're in the northern hemisphere. Obviously, it's snow everywhere, and it's almost April. But just to paint a picture of how it is to live up here. I mean, I started from scratch, so I saw everything that went into a small cabin. You know, I had to cut all the trees down. I used a chainsaw to do that. I had acres of land. On this piece of land, there's 3 acres. So instead of, you know, going vertically like a condo, boom, it's 3 acres here, tied up in private hands. Just for me, you can't come here unless you're invited, you know. So there is that to think about. And think of like a 100-acre farm or 100-acre forested piece of land that's in private hands. You know, if you were to put a bunch of condos on there, not to say you should do that or that's a better thing to do, but just for perspective, you could fit thousands of people on that 100 acres in vertical spaces if you want. But you're saying, no, here's my property, and it's like 2 people that own it, right? So that's just some perspective to think about there. So let's get right into the details here. To maintain a lifestyle in the northern hemisphere off the grid, given our definition earlier, you need like several chainsaws. I only have one. I think it's behind me there. I wish I had like 3. You know, doing this full time, you need a small one for the small stuff, a big one for the big stuff, and one on a pole to get all the stuff you can't get to. Saves you from climbing the tree yourself and doing it. So there's 3 little engines right there, let alone a snowblower, let alone an ATV to haul all your firewood that you cut down every year. And you need a trailer on that ATV, a giant trailer to haul the wood. And I think I said snowblower already. Some people have tractors or backhoes to dig stumps out of the ground after they cut the trees down and to move fill around. I mean, managing a forest and managing a piece of land, whatever the terrain is, forest or field or whatever, takes a lot of machinery to keep it as you want it. You could just let it go completely wild, fair enough, but you still need a way to get into your property, and in this part of the world, the snow has to be cleared. So you're not shoveling a big driveway. You're using a snowblower or a snowplow or something. So anyways, you need a lot of engines to maintain a lifestyle like this. A lot of small, simple engines that require a lot of gas, a lot of oil, a lot of maintenance, a lot of your thought, a lot of your time. And you also need a workshop full of tools, because things go wrong all the time in a place like this. I've been there where, something's broken and I need to go get that one tool that's way in the shed over there. So you need a lot of tools just in case. And the just in case happens more than you'd think. Also, so say you're not on town power, you're off grid, you have solar power, say. Well, in the wintertime, usually it's harder on the solar, you don't get as much of it, and you need a generator to kick in. So you usually have to have a solar power setup with a lot of batteries. There's tons of batteries in solar setups, and those batteries have a lot of crazy materials in them that have to come from somewhere, and same with the solar panels. And they run copper wires, really thick copper wires usually, so all this stuff adds up, as you're seeing. Yeah, so I had backup generators, and I actually had 2 backup generators in my last place, because if one generator was out of commission, I could use the little one, the small one, if the big one was out. And I had to do that a couple times. So hopefully this is painting a picture for you that you actually need a lot of stuff to maintain, I'm talking more of a sort of first world existence here. My current situation, I don't have any power or any water in there. So that gets rid of a lot of the stuff I've just said. But long-term living like this, most people don't do it. Most people don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. This is a short-term thing for me. What we end up doing off the grid is we end up trying to make our survival easier any way we can. And that's fine. That's the human way. That's why we went from stone tools to metal tools, why we went from buck saws to chainsaws, Minimalism, if you want real minimalism, in my opinion, in modern day conventional living, it's a condo or an apartment building, living in one of those units, or it's living in a van if you want to talk more unconventional. Managing a homestead property or an off-grid property takes a lot more tools and a lot more materials and a lot more energy and fuel than you would think. So I hope I painted a picture of that for you. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole there, but that's just the basics of it. That's what I've learned. I thought originally my idea was, I'll sit there like Thoreau and muse out the window. I laugh at that now because those times were rare in my experience. There's a lot of chores to be done. A lot of setup has to be done before you can actually sit there like Thoreau and think and philosophize, if that is a word, out the window. That takes a while to get there. So anyways, minimalism, it's riding a bike through a city. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking this lifestyle. There's so many beautiful things about this, but I'm strictly talking about the minimalism aspect of it. It's not as minimalistic as most people think, and I just wanted to put that out there. If you're thinking about doing this, or if you're just interested, now you have my perspective for what it's worth. So hope you enjoyed that, everybody. Feel free to subscribe to my channel here and follow along as I bumble through my life's journey here on YouTube, and we will see you at the next video. Cheers.